The letter trembled in my hands like a dying bird. 3 years of marriage, and I'm reading love letters my wife has been hiding from my own brother. My darling R, watching you with him destroys me every single day. You chose the wrong brother, and we both know it. The shower upstairs is still running. Rosalind is still humming that damn song, the one I thought meant she was happy with me. My chest feels like it's caving in, each breath a struggle against the weight of 3 years of lies. I can smell her perfume on these pages. White peonies, the flowers Lucas brings her every week. God, I'm such an idiot. The book club meetings. The spa weekends. The way she lights up when he walks into a room, brighter than she ever does for me. My hands are shaking so violently I can barely hold the paper. There are dozens more letters, all tied with that red ribbon I gave her for our first anniversary. She kept his love letters in a ribbon I bought her. The irony tastes like blood in my mouth. Another letter, dated 6 months ago, I dream about the life we should have had. Every night I fall asleep imagining you in my arms instead of his. Asterisk. The water stops running upstairs. She'll be down any minute, wrapped in the silk robe I bought her for our anniversary, glowing with that happiness I thought belonged to me. I stuffed the letters back into the velvet pouch, my heart hammering against my ribs like it's trying to escape this nightmare. My perfect wife, my devoted brother, my beautiful marriage, all of it built on the biggest lie ever told. Footsteps on the stairs now. She's coming. And she has absolutely no idea that I know. 6 months before I found those letters, I believed I was living the perfect life. Every morning started the same way. Rosalind would wake up before me, padding barefoot to the kitchen in that oversized Stanford t-shirt she'd stolen from my closet. I'd find her there, hair messy from sleep, making coffee in the French press I'd brought back from our honeymoon in Paris. She'd smile when she saw me, that sleepy, genuine smile that made my chest warm with contentment. "Good morning, architect," she'd whisper, reaching up to kiss my cheek. Her lips always tasted like the vanilla chapstick she kept on the nightstand. Our house was everything I dreamed of designing. Victorian bones with modern soul, every room crafted with obsessive attention to detail. The kitchen island where we'd eat breakfast together, sunlight streaming through the windows I'd positioned to catch the morning light perfectly. The reading nook where Rosalind would curl up with her books, feet tucked under her like a cat. I designed it all for her. Every arch, every window, every corner was built around the woman I thought would spend her life there with me. Lucas visited twice a week, Sundays for dinner and Thursdays when he'd close the bookstore early. He'd bring those white peonies, always her favorites, claiming he got a good deal from the flower vendor downtown. Rosalind would light up when she saw them, arranging them in the crystal vase we'd gotten as a wedding gift. "You spoil me," she'd tell him, standing on her tiptoes to hug him. Over her shoulder, Lucas would catch my eye and grin. "Someone has to keep my sister-in-law happy," he'd say. "Besides, Oliver works too much. He needs backup in the romance department." We'd all laugh. God, we'd actually laugh about it. Thursday dinners were sacred. Rosalind would spend hours cooking Lucas's favorite dishes: beef bourguignon, homemade bread, that chocolate tart that took her 3 attempts to perfect. She said she loved having family over, loved filling the house with conversation and warmth. I'd watch them together at our dining table, heads bent over some book Lucas had recommended, debating characters and plot twists with the kind of passion I thought she reserved for architecture discussions with me. Sometimes I'd feel a tiny stab of something, not jealousy exactly, but longing. I wanted her to look at me the way she looked at books, with complete absorption and delight. "You're lucky," my colleague David would always say. Beautiful wife, perfect house, brother who actually likes spending time with family. Most guys would kill for that setup. He was right. I had everything a man could want. Rosalind had transformed from the shy librarian I'd met at Marcus's birthday party into this confident, radiant woman who threw dinner parties and made everyone feel welcome in our home. She'd laugh at my terrible jokes, bring me coffee when I worked late, curl up next to me on the couch while I sketched new designs. But sometimes, late at night when she thought I was asleep, I'd catch her staring at her phone with an expression I couldn't quite read. Wistful, maybe. Or melancholy. "Everything okay?" I'd whisper. Just thinking, she'd say, putting the phone away quickly. Go back to sleep. I told myself it was work stress. Her job at the university library had been demanding lately. Or maybe she was thinking about children. We'd been talking about starting a family, but she always seemed to change the subject when I brought up specifics. The truth is, I was so grateful to have her that I didn't want to push. Before Rosalind, I'd been the workaholic bachelor, the guy who designed beautiful homes for other people while living in a sterile downtown apartment. She'd brought warmth into my carefully controlled world, taught me what it felt like to have someone waiting at home. Even if sometimes that someone seemed to be waiting for something else entirely. I should have paid attention to those midnight phone sessions. Should have wondered why she always seemed happiest on Thursday evenings when Lucas was coming over. The first crack appeared on a Thursday evening in March, subtle as a hairline fracture in perfect glass. Lucas had canceled dinner that morning, some emergency at the bookstore. A pipe had burst, flooding the back room where he kept rare editions. At least, that's what Rosalind told me when I came home to find her staring at her phone, biting her lower lip the way she did when she was worried. Poor Lucas, she said, not looking up from the screen. He's devastated about the water damage. I kissed the top of her head, breathing in the scent of her shampoo. We can reschedule. It's just dinner. But she didn't seem to hear me. Her fingers moved across the phone screen with urgent precision, typing and deleting, typing again. I caught glimpses of words over her shoulder. I'm so sorry, and wish I could before she shifted away from me. I should call him, she said suddenly. Make sure he's okay. She disappeared into the garden, phone pressed to her ear. Through the kitchen window, I watched her pace between the rose bushes, one hand gesturing as she spoke. Even from inside, I could see the tension in her shoulders, the way she kept running her free hand through her hair. 20 minutes later, she came back inside with red-rimmed eyes. Lucas okay? I asked. He's managing. Her voice cracked slightly. You know how much that bookstore means to him. I pulled her into my arms, feeling her body tremble against mine. Hey, it's just books and water. Insurance will cover it. She nodded against my chest, but I felt her tears soaking through my shirt. It seemed like an awfully strong reaction to her brother-in-law's plumbing problems. That night, she lay awake beside me, staring at the ceiling. I could feel the tension radiating from her body like heat. Every few minutes, she'd reach for her phone, check it, then put it back down with a barely audible sigh. Rosalind? Can't sleep, she whispered. Keep thinking about Lucas alone in that mess. But when I suggested we drive over to help him clean up the next morning, she quickly said no. He doesn't want anyone to see it yet. You know how proud he is. The doubt crept in like smoke under a door, barely noticeable at first, then impossible to ignore. Since when did my wife cry over property damage? Since when did Lucas's problems keep her awake at night? And why did I have the sinking feeling that this emergency was something far more personal than burst pipes? The jewelry box sat innocently on Rosalind's dresser, mahogany gleaming in the afternoon sunlight. I needed her passport for our Paris booking, our 5th anniversary trip that she'd been planning for months with such excitement. Top drawer, left side, she'd called from the shower, voice muffled by running water and that damn song she always hummed when she was happy. I lifted the velvet-lined tray, searching past pearl earrings and the diamond necklace I'd given her last Christmas. My fingers brushed against something unusual, a small bulge beneath the silk lining. Curious, I pressed down and felt the outline of something hidden underneath. The corner of the fabric had come loose. I shouldn't have looked. God, I wish I'd never looked. A small velvet pouch, burgundy like dried blood, tucked away like a guilty secret. Inside, dozens of letters tied with red ribbon, the same ribbon I'd bought her for our first anniversary, the one she claimed was too beautiful to use. My hands shook as I unfolded the first letter. The handwriting was achingly familiar. My darling R, every day I watch you with him and my heart breaks a little more. When you laugh at his jokes, when you kiss him goodnight, I die inside. You chose the wrong brother, and we both know it. I'll wait forever if I have to. All my love, L. The world tilted sideways. L for Lucas. My brother Lucas. The shower kept running. Rosalind kept humming. And I kept reading, each letter a fresh knife wound to my chest. Letter after letter, spanning 3 years. 3 years of my marriage. They'd been in love before she'd ever met me, the letters revealed. She'd chosen me because I was safe, because I could provide stability, because loving Lucas was too complicated. I dream about running away with you, or forget Oliver, forget everyone who would judge us. We could start over somewhere new, just us. My chest tightened until I couldn't breathe. The room spun around me as I read about stolen moments, secret meetings, the agony of watching each other with other people. The letters painted a picture of desperate, tortured love, the kind of love poets write about, the kind of love that consumes everything in its path. The kind of love she'd never felt for me. Asterisk when you married him, I wanted to die. But then I realized, this way, I get to see you every week. I get to pretend we're family. I get to love you from close enough to touch, even if I can never really have you. Asterisk. The wedding ring on my finger felt like it was burning through my skin. Every Thursday dinner, every family gathering, every time I'd watched them laugh together and felt grateful for such a close family, it had all been a lie. They'd been performing for me, the oblivious husband who couldn't see what was right in front of him. The most recent letter was dated 2 weeks ago. I can't keep pretending, R. Last night at dinner, when Oliver was showing us those house plans, all I could think about was kissing you right there at the table. We have to tell him. We have to stop this before it destroys all 3 of us. My knees buckled. I sank onto the edge of the bed, letters scattered around me like evidence at a crime scene. The betrayal wasn't just infidelity, it was conspiracy. They'd both been lying to my face for years, playing their parts in this elaborate theater of deception. The shower turned off. Footsteps in the bathroom. She'd be out any minute, glowing and beautiful and full of excited chatter about Paris, about our anniversary, about the future we were planning together. A future built on the foundation of her love for another man. My hands moved frantically, stuffing the letters back into the pouch, smoothing the silk lining, replacing everything exactly as I'd found it. My heart hammered so hard I thought it might burst from my chest. 3 years. 3 goddamn years of living a lie. I sat at my kitchen table for 3 hours after Rosalind left for her book club meeting, staring at my coffee as it went cold. The same table where Lucas and I used to do homework as kids. The same table where he'd sat last Sunday, cutting into the roast while telling us about his latest rare book acquisition, his eyes lighting up every time Rosalind laughed. Every memory was poisoned now. Every moment recontextualized into something ugly and painful. My phone buzzed. A text from David, drinks tonight? Sarah's working late. I couldn't imagine sitting in a bar, pretending to care about work gossip or weekend plans. Couldn't imagine acting normal when my entire world had shifted off its axis 3 hours ago. Rain check, I typed back. Working on the Henderson project. Lies came so easily now. Maybe I'd learned from the best. The house felt massive and empty around me. Every corner held evidence of their deception. The vase where Rosalind arranged Lucas's peonies, now withered on the windowsill. The bookshelf full of novels he'd recommended, each one a love letter in disguise. The photo from last Christmas, all 3 of us smiling at the camera while 2 of us harbored this massive secret. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the photo against the wall, watch the glass shatter into a million pieces like my marriage had. Instead, I sat perfectly still, afraid that if I moved, I'd fall apart completely. My chest felt hollow, scooped out like a carved pumpkin. Every breath was an effort. The rational part of my mind kept trying to process what I'd learned, to make sense of the timeline, but my emotions were a chaotic storm of rage and heartbreak and humiliation. How many people knew? Did Marcus suspect when he saw them together at parties? Did our friends exchange knowing glances when I wasn't looking? Was I the only one stupid enough to believe in our perfect little family unit? The worst part wasn't the betrayal itself, it was the realization that I'd never really had what I thought I had. Those 5 years of marriage, those moments of intimacy and connection I treasured, they were all performance art. She'd been thinking of him when she kissed me goodnight. wishing for him when she said she loved me. I was a placeholder. A convenient fiction that let her stay close to the man she actually wanted. When Rosalind came home at 9:30, cheeks flushed from the cold, I was washing dishes with mechanical precision. Normal husband behavior. She kissed my cheek, the same spot she always kissed, and I managed not to flinch. How was book club? The question tasted like ash in my mouth. Intense discussion about unrequited love and Bronte, she said, hanging her coat in the closet. You know how passionate those women get about doomed romance. The irony was so sharp it could have cut glass. I kept scrubbing the same plate, afraid to look at her face, afraid she'd see the knowledge burning in my eyes. I'm exhausted, she continued. Think I'll head up early. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Listened to her footsteps on the stairs, the creak of our bedroom floor, the sound of her brushing her teeth in our bathroom. All these ordinary sounds of our ordinary life, now revealed as an elaborate charade. When I finally went upstairs, she was already asleep, curled on her side facing away from me. In the darkness, I studied the curve of her shoulder, the way her hair spread across the pillow. She looked peaceful. Innocent. But I knew what was in that jewelry box 3 feet away. I knew what was in her heart. I lay awake until dawn, planning my next move. Because if there's one thing worse than being betrayed, it's being betrayed by people who think you're too stupid to figure it out. For 3 days, I was a ghost haunting my own life. I watched them at Sunday dinner, studying every glance, every accidental touch, every shared smile. The way Lucas's fingers lingered when he handed Rosalind the salt. How she unconsciously leaned toward him when he spoke. The private language they developed right under my nose. I could have confronted them. Could have thrown the letters on the table and watched their faces crumble. But something cold and calculating had awakened in my chest, replacing the raw pain with surgical precision. They thought I was weak. The safe brother. The convenient husband who worked late and noticed nothing. They'd built their secret romance on the foundation of my supposed blindness. Time to show them exactly how much I'd been seeing. Monday morning, I hired Rebecca Torres, the best private investigator in the city. A former police detective with sharp eyes and discretion guaranteed. I needed facts, not just emotions. Dates, times, locations. Evidence that would hold up under scrutiny. Cheating spouse, she asked, sliding the contract across her desk. Cheating spouse and brother-in-law, I corrected. 3 years of it. Her eyebrows rose slightly. Family cases are always messy, eh? You sure you want to go down this road? I'm an architect, I told her. I don't demolish buildings until I understand exactly how they're constructed. Rebecca's first report arrived Wednesday. Photos of them at Café Luna, the same cafe where Rosalind claimed her book club met. Thursday evening shots of Lucas closing his store early, walking 3 blocks to meet her. Hotel receipts from the weekend Rosalind had supposedly gone to her mother's while Lucas was at a book convention. They weren't even trying to hide anymore. Just hiding from me. But the most damning evidence was the timeline. Rebecca had tracked their relationship back to before my wedding. They'd been lovers first, until some fight or complication drove them apart. Rosalind had met me 6 months later at Marcus's birthday party, the rebound that became a marriage of convenience. I studied the photos like blueprints, memorizing every detail. The way they held hands across small cafe tables. How he'd tuck her hair behind her ear. The desperate way they kissed outside his bookstore, like teenagers afraid of being caught. Asterisk because they were afraid. They'd built their love on stolen moments and borrowed time, always looking over their shoulders for the husband they were betraying, asterisk. At home, I became the perfect spouse. More attentive, more romantic, more present. I brought Rosalind flowers, not peonies, never peonies. Planned surprise dinners. Suggested we renew our vows for our 5th anniversary. You're being so sweet lately, she said, guilt flickering across her face like candlelight. What's the occasion? Can't a man appreciate his wife? I kissed her forehead, tasting the lie on my lips. She tried to reciprocate the affection, but I could see the strain. Every loving gesture from me was a reminder of her betrayal. She'd startle when I hugged her from behind, flinch when I suggested weekend plans that would conflict with their secret meetings. The guilt was eating her alive, and I fed it systematically. I also started spending more time with Lucas. Brothers' lunches, helping at the bookstore, asking his advice about anniversary gifts for Rosalind. Watching him squirm as he tried to play the supportive brother while secretly planning to steal my wife. "You're lucky to have her," he'd say, unable to meet my eyes. "I know," I'd reply. "I'd be lost without her. She's my whole world." The torture was exquisite. Every word carefully chosen to twist the knife of his guilt deeper. Meanwhile, Rebecca compiled a portfolio that would have impressed a prosecutor. Bank records showing Lucas's payments to hotels. Phone records revealing hundreds of calls and texts. Security footage from a dozen locations where they'd met over 3 years. But I wasn't planning a divorce. I was planning something far more elegant. They wanted to live a lie? I was going to give them the truth in the most public, devastating way possible. And by the time I was finished, they'd wish they'd never been born. The dinner party was my masterpiece, and I planned it like a military operation. "Let's have people over," I suggested to Rosalind on a Tuesday morning, watching her freeze with her coffee cup halfway to her lips. "It's been too long since we entertained." "Oh, I don't know," she stammered. "I've been so busy with work." "Come on, it'll be fun. We could invite Marcus, the Hendersons, maybe some people from your library." I paused, letting the next words hang in the air like a blade. "And we should definitely invite Lucas. He's been looking so lonely lately." The color drained from her face. She knew what Thursday dinner parties meant: no secret meetings, no stolen moments, just painful hours of pretending they were nothing more than family. "Actually," I continued, twisting the knife deeper, "I've been worried about Lucas. All that time alone in the bookstore. Maybe we should set him up with someone." "Set him up?" Her voice cracked slightly. "You know, find him a nice woman. Someone who could make him happy." I pulled out my phone, scrolling through contacts. "What about Rebecca Torres? She's that lawyer who just moved here. Beautiful, successful, single." Rosalind's knuckles went white around her coffee mug. "I don't think Lucas is ready for dating." "Why not? He's 34, successful, handsome. Any woman would be lucky to have him." I looked up from my phone, meeting her eyes directly. "Unless there's some reason you think he shouldn't be with someone?" The trap was perfect. She couldn't object without revealing why Lucas shouldn't date other women. Couldn't support the idea without betraying her own feelings. I watched her internal struggle play out across her face, the same face I'd kissed goodnight for 5 years, never knowing she was thinking of another man. I think we should let Lucas decide for himself." "Of course," I smiled. But a little encouragement from family never hurt anyone. That afternoon, I called Lucas directly. "Dinner party Saturday night," I announced. "Rosalind's excited to cook for everyone. And I'm bringing someone I want you to meet." "Someone?" "Rebecca Torres. Brilliant lawyer, gorgeous, and definitely interested in meeting you. Marcus thinks you two would hit it off." The silence stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. Finally, "Oliver, I don't think I'm ready for." "Come on, little brother. You can't mourn that bookstore flood forever. Time to get back out there." I kept my voice light, fraternal. "Besides, Rosalind thinks you've been depressed lately. She worries about you." Another silence. He was trapped between disappointing me and facing the woman he loved while pretending interest in someone else. "I'll be there," he said finally. Saturday night arrived like a storm front. 12 guests filled our dining room, the same room where Lucas and Rosalind had shared countless intimate glances. Now they sat at opposite ends of the table, unable to so much as look at each other. Rebecca was perfect, everything I'd promised and more. Witty, charming, and clearly taken with Lucas's quiet bookish appeal. She hung on his every word about rare manuscripts and literary criticism. You two have so much in common, I announced during the appetizer course, raising my wine glass. Books, culture, intellectual conversations. Sometimes the best matches are right in front of us. Lucas looked nauseated. Rosalind excused herself to check on the main course for the third time in 10 minutes. I followed her to the kitchen, where she stood gripping the counter, breathing hard. You okay, sweetheart? She spun around, eyes bright with unshed tears. This is torture, Oliver. What is? Watching you play matchmaker when you don't understand. She stopped abruptly, hand over her mouth. Don't understand what? For a moment, I thought she might confess everything. Might break down and tell me the truth, beg for forgiveness, end this charade. Part of me almost wanted her to. But she straightened her shoulders, wiped her eyes, and forced that familiar fake smile. Nothing. I'm just tired. Let's get back to our guests. As we returned to the dining room, I wondered if this was how they'd felt all these years, living lies, wearing masks, pretending to be people they weren't. The thought should have made me feel guilty. Instead, it made me hungry for the final act. The dinner party hit its crescendo during dessert. Rebecca was laughing at one of Lucas's stories, her hand resting lightly on his arm, when I decided it was time. Before we have coffee, I announced, standing at the head of our dining table, I'd like to share something special with everyone. Rosalind's fork froze halfway to her mouth. Lucas went rigid in his chair. A love story, actually, I continued, pulling the burgundy velvet pouch from my jacket pocket. About two people who thought they were clever enough to fool everyone. The room fell silent except for the gentle tick of our grandfather clock. Oliver, Rosalind whispered, her face draining of color. It's quite romantic, really, I said, untying their red ribbon with deliberate care. 3 years of secret passion, stolen moments, desperate longing. Marcus leaned forward, confused. What's going on? I unfolded the first letter, my voice steady as a surgeon's scalpel. My darling R, every day I watch you with him and my heart breaks a little more. When you laugh at his jokes, when you kiss him goodnight, I die inside. Rebecca's hand dropped from Lucas's arm. You chose the wrong brother, and we both know it, I continued reading. But I'll wait forever if I have to. All my love, L. The silence was deafening. Oliver, stop, Lucas finally found his voice. Stop? I looked at him with genuine curiosity. But we're just getting to the good parts. Should I read the one about your weekend at the Marriott while I thought you were at a book convention? Or maybe the one where you plan to run away together? Rosalind stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. Please don't do this. Do what? Share a beautiful love story with our friends? I selected another letter. This one's particularly touching. My wife wrote back to you, Lucas. Did you know that? She kept copies. The Hendersons exchanged horrified glances. Marcus stared at Lucas like he was seeing a stranger. She wrote, I dream of waking up next to you instead of him. I dream of a life where loving you isn't a sin. I folded the letter carefully. Poetic, don't you think? Rebecca quietly excused herself, gathering her purse. I didn't blame her. 3 years, I said, my voice never rising above conversational level. 3 years of Thursday book clubs that were actually cafe dates. 3 years of spa weekends that were hotel rendezvous. 3 years of my wife and my brother falling asleep every night wishing they were with each other instead of where they belonged. Oliver, I can explain, Rosalind tried. Can you? Can you explain why you married me when you were in love with him? Can you explain why you both looked me in the eye every Sunday and lied? Lucas stood, his face gray. We never meant for it to happen. Oh, but you did. You meant every secret meeting. You meant every stolen kiss. You meant every lie you told. I gathered the letters, readying them with the ribbon. What you didn't mean was to get caught. The remaining guests were shifting uncomfortably, reaching for coats and purses. The most beautiful part, I said, addressing the room, is that they thought I was too stupid to notice. The safe brother. The oblivious husband. They built their grand romance on the assumption that I'd never figure it out. I walked around the table to where they both stood frozen. But here's what you never understood about architects: we notice everything. Every crack in the foundation, every structural weakness, every flaw that threatens the whole building. I placed the letters on the table between them. Your building just collapsed. Within minutes, our dining room was empty except for the three of us, the ruins of 5 years of lies scattered like broken glass around our feet. The aftermath was swift and merciless. Within 48 hours, half the town knew about the affair. Our dinner guests had talked, and in a community like ours, scandal spreads faster than wildfire. The woman at the grocery store wouldn't meet my eyes, not from shame, but from pity. The barista at my usual coffee shop squeezed my shoulder and whispered, "I'm so sorry." Lucas lost 3 major accounts that week. The Hendersons canceled their rare book order. The university library withdrew their contract for antique restoration services. Apparently, people don't like doing business with men who betray their own family. I watched his bookstore from across the street one afternoon, seeing him through the window, alone among his precious volumes. No customers, no phone calls, no visitors. Just Lucas and the books that had once seemed more important than honor. Rosalind moved out on Tuesday, taking only her clothes and personal items. She left behind the jewelry I'd given her, the furniture we'd chosen together, the life we'd built. Or the life I'd thought we'd built. "I never wanted to hurt you," she said as she loaded the last suitcase into her car. "But you did hurt me," I replied calmly. "For 3 years, you hurt me every single day. The difference is, now you have to live with everyone knowing who you really are." She drove away without looking back. I thought betrayal had broken me, but I was wrong. It had rebuilt me into someone stronger, cleaner, more honest. The house felt lighter without the weight of their lies pressing down on every room. I could breathe again. The first week was the hardest, not from loneliness, but from the relief. I'd been carrying their secret without knowing it, sensing something wrong but never able to name it. Now the phantom ache in my chest was gone, replaced by clarity. I threw myself into work with renewed energy. The Henderson project, a sprawling family home, became my masterpiece. Every line clean, every angle honest, every space designed for people who actually loved each other. When I presented the final plans, Mrs. Henderson wiped away tears. "It's perfect," she said. "You can feel the love in every detail." I could. Because I finally understood the difference between real love and performance. Marcus called the second week. "I owe you an apology," he said. I suspected something but convinced myself I was imagining things. "I should have said something. Would I have believed you?" A long pause. "Probably not." "Then you did the right thing." Old friends reached out, people I'd lost touch with during my marriage, when every social occasion revolved around maintaining the perfect couple image. David invited me to poker night. Sarah asked if I wanted to join their hiking group. Life was opening up again. The strangest part was the peace. For 3 years, I'd felt like something was missing, like I was failing at marriage somehow. I tried harder, loved deeper, worked to be worthy of Rosalind's affection. Now I understood it was never about my worth. You can't earn love that was never yours to begin with. 2 weeks after the dinner party, I saw them together at the farmer's market. They looked hollow, diminished. Lucas had lost weight. Rosalind's usual glow had dimmed to something gray and desperate. They weren't holding hands. I realized I felt nothing for them, no anger, no satisfaction, no pain. They'd become irrelevant to my story. That's when I knew I'd won something far more valuable than revenge. I'd won my life back. 6 months later, I'm standing in my kitchen again, holding another piece of paper. But this time, my hands aren't shaking. It's a wedding invitation. Rebecca Torres and Marcus Webb, requesting the honor of my presence at their October ceremony. The same Rebecca who met Lucas at my disastrous dinner party. The same Marcus who was Lucas's business partner until the scandal destroyed that relationship too. They'd bonded over their shared disgust at what they'd witnessed that night. found love in the wreckage of someone else's lies. Sometimes the most beautiful things grow from the darkest soil. Would you be willing to design our home? Rebecca had asked when she called. We want something honest. Something real. I said yes immediately. The house I'm designing for them is everything mine never was, built on truth, planned by two people who actually chose each other. No hidden rooms for secrets. No shadows where lies can grow. Yesterday, I heard Lucas closed the bookstore for good. He and Rosalind left town last week, chasing some fantasy of starting over where nobody knows their story. But you can't outrun the truth. It follows you like your shadow. I should feel sorry for them. Maybe I would, if they'd shown an ounce of genuine remorse. But they never apologized for the betrayal, only for getting caught. As for me, I'm exactly where I belong. In my house, designing homes for people who understand what love actually means. Free from the weight of living someone else's lie. The burgundy jewelry box sits empty on my dresser now, a reminder of what I almost lost by trusting blindly. But I don't see it as a symbol of betrayal anymore. I see it as the box that held my freedom. My name is Oliver Chen. I thought those letters would destroy me. Instead, they set me free. And sometimes, the greatest gift your enemies can give you is showing you exactly who they really are.